They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
What's going on, all you fantasy football fans out there? Welcome back to another episode of the Snick Snack Sports Fantasy Football Podcast, Thursday Night Football with the Patriots, America's team. How are you doing there, Nate?
Doing great, Nick. How about yourself?
Doing great. Enjoying fantasy football.
Absolutely. Coming off a huge high after crushing the puny and pathetic Team Ducky, the Olive Man. Barely put up a fight against my 150-point Swarm. Headed to the playoffs, I'm sure. There you have it.
You're a lot closer to the playoffs than you were last week.
Yeah, my playoff percentage went from 13 to 29 or something like that. So very much in the race, just 2 games out. But we'll go over the standings, remind people how tiebreakers work. Having a low-tier Nick on the show today, officially demoted himself, I believe, now that he's in 11th place and no longer in the Chump League. Speaking of the Chump League, this is the last matchup. We have first place Snickers versus 6th place Shane. And whoever is kind of a second matchup of the week, because whoever gets the most points this week will be Chump League champion. And there is a good chance that it is, in fact, the person who will also finish first, or at least will have finished first through this point in the season, which we were wondering if that would be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 50% chance right now. I definitely am not taking anything into it that I'm guaranteed anything. Shane's been pretty admirable. Neither of us have gotten first in a week, I don't think. We've both been like third, fourth, fifth every week, and that's kind of how it goes. But this week it's 1v1. Doesn't matter if it's 150 to 149 or 65 to 64. One of us is gonna walk away with the Chump championship here.
Yeah, and I'm sure we need to get a trophy for that. I know I've been having fun with it. Hopefully, do it again next year. But the that means that Kyler was in fact chumped this year. His he remains in the playoff hunt. We'll see. His spot is kind of surprising given what his scoring standings have been. But he finally got ousted in the Chump League, and 2 of you were right. Snickers, you were right for the first time, which puts our bets at tied. We are now tied with 8-8 in terms of points for the season. We will have more bets going for the rest of the season until the championship is decided, to see just our own personal rivalry, who settles that. We also had Kenny guess correctly, and so he now has a pretty firm lead, has to guess correctly 3 times, so may have a little bit of a side championship there for himself. Gone a little bit of a streak recently. And yeah, let's look at the standings. So we see here that currently you hold the sole title of first place at 15-5, Nick. Meanwhile, low tier Nick and John are actually tied in last place at 6-14. They can still technically make the playoffs according to this. At this point, I guess they're both able to go 14-14.
Yeah.
And are not guaranteed a playoff spot, although you are awful close at 15-5, it seems like.
Yeah,
I suspect that if you get even a win this week, you might do it.
That's definitely the goal here. All week, no matter who I've been talking to, I've been really talking up John's team, including telling him to trade future picks to get players on his team so he can make the playoffs this year. And he had a huge week last week. He was second or third highest scoring, went 2-0. and he's still in the hunt here.
Yeah, I see this as one of the most even leagues, one of the most even years that our league has had. I know John's team has, as the biggest example of a team that's not been so good, but he has big weeks. His team is capable of the output. When you look at his roster, um, if you ignore how thin his bench is, his team has good players on it.
His bench that has
He
crept up into his actual lineup, including Bashal Tootin in his starting running back slot.
that happens from time to time,
Yeah.
but the I think it's also you can see it the fourth place team Kyler here still only has a 67% chance of making it. Um, Really the only shoe-ins to the playoffs right now are you and Kenny.
Hmm.
If we look at the points for, you and Kenny also have, I would say, a bit of a gap in terms of points for, and then we have this pack from Ducky down through um, mid-tier Nick are all within 80 points of each other on the year. That's, an average of, 7 points different or so per week, which is a meaningful gap. I'm not saying that those teams have been similar, but they're in the kind of the same range there. And I'm currently in fifth place, which surprised me in points for after my big week, though I guess isn't surprising. Meanwhile, Kyler, who is in fourth place, is down in 10th place in points for.
Yeah. Yeah, Kyler's definitely super interesting, being in fourth place, Division 5-5, meaning he's in traditional fantasies, won 5 matchups, lost 5 matchups. But having let's say, yeah, middle of road points against too, it's pretty surprising to see him way down there. The format's definitely benefiting him like it benefited me 2 weeks ago when I went 1-1 with a loss and John went 1-1 with a win. We were talking about that, how the format is really definitely editing the standings here.
Yeah, and we'll see at the end of the year how if it would have impacted the playoff positioning and how much. I know last year Ducky did a study and it didn't change it by all that much, but it feels way different this year. And it is interesting that Kyler seems to be benefiting from the system, given that he has a just average record in the pure head-to-head, has a really low points for, but is getting his extra wins against the league. I don't know how that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Kyle for having the league's worst home record, 0-4. So,
So that Kyle's 0-4 and I believe Katie's 4-0 on the road. But we've talked about this a little bit. The home and away records, not everyone has the same amount of games. Shane has the most games on the road, I think, and Nick Adams has the most games at home this year, and that actually doesn't mean anything because they're both, middle to bottom of the pack. So
I have never taken note of whether I'm home or away, but
uh,
it is funny how that pans out.
losing the home game is rough, man.
Yeah, and you really have been benefiting from having a lot of home games so far this season. So,
Yeah,
are you for real
absolutely.
or not? Hard to say. And then, yeah, I just wanted to clarify also the how the tiebreaker works. I think we have a good example here of a three-way tie. So if there's just a two-way tie in the league, it is head to head. So an example of that is Kyler and Katie, currently both 11 and 9. Kyler is currently on top. That could be because that Kyler has beaten Katie this year. However, if they are 1-1, and we didn't verify this beforehand, you would go to points for on the season. And Kyler does not have more points for than Katie, so he must have beaten her in their matchup. That'd be my assumption.
Yeah.
Now, in this three-way tie, I'm going to have to just read the rules off of the ESPN website because it's a little bit heady, but we do have a clarification on how this works that did pan out in this example. So, tiebreaker process when multiple teams are tied. When more than two teams are tied, it is essentially a rinse and repeat process for each remaining seed. So, first, you compare the head to head records of all the teams that are tied. The team with the best head to head record is the top seed. Out of the remaining teams, once again, compare the head to head records. If the remaining teams did not play each other an equal amount of times, compare the points for, and the team with the highest points for is the next seed. repeat step two until all tied teams are seated. So that's kind of difficult to follow, but I think we understand what happened here. I am currently tied at 9 and 11 with Matt and Carson. I have not played Carson, and I am 1 and 0 against Matt.
Yeah, so
I
Nate,
think
you are 1-0. Matt and Carson played each other. They're both 1-1, which means you have the better record in that
exactly.
threesome matchup here.
My record against anybody I played is 1 and 0, which is better than their 1 and 1 records against each other, which I think is what puts me ahead of them. If we have that wrong, I do also have more points for than them, so that could be the explanation if we've slightly misinterpreted something. But we can see that Matt is ahead of Carson just barely in terms of points for, and that's why he is in eighth and Carson is in ninth. So there you have it. Now, other thing to highlight this week had an especially high um, win against the league. Shane got unlucky this week, which might impact his season in a major way because he is just one game ahead of me at 10 and 10. At 108.7 points, he did not win against the league. He was the cutoff. So,
Mm.
and tell us the news around the NFL.
Yeah, man, there's a decent amount of news. We got our second coach fired, Brian Daboll, out as the coach of the New York Football Giants. Rumors are he's going to Penn State, but we'll ask some of our lovely guests about that at a different time. You got Garrett Wilson, whose team's playing right now. He's not, he's out 3 to 4 weeks with a what we call being on the Jets injury. You got Travis Hunter. We knew he went to IR last week. Unfortunately, he's having season-ending surgery. He's not going to be playing the rest of the year. J.K. Dobbins this week out with a foot. Jackson Dart out this week with a concussion still, which means famous Jameis playing in the Big Apple. Marvin Harrison is out this week with appendicitis. We get one of these every year. We got Brock Purdy. Some good news, maybe starting this week. Maybe back with his teammate Ricky Pearsall. Maybe back. Trey Benson, maybe back. And Joe Burrow, broken turf toe and everything, man. Practice window open. He's going to be back before the end of the month. You got Colts and Saints on bye, Nate.
Colts and Saints. That must mean that we have like 8 teams on bye in an upcoming week because only 2 teams on bye this week.
Yeah.
So great. And now let's welcome our guest, Nick Adams, aka Low Tier Nick, to the show. All right. Welcome, Nick. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. My team's been in a bit of a rough spot. Um, so if I want to just jump right into it, looking into everything, I do not believe that I can maintain the mid-tier Nick anymore. I think that's probably fairly well understood. So I will, as of now, officially be known as bottom tier Nick until I can regain my mid tier or hopefully, ideally, top tier status.
Mm.
But for now, bottom tier.
Yeah. No, we were talking about that a little bit over the last week that you didn't want to um, put Ducky ahead of you because he doesn't have a championship and you do have one, but
Uh, that is a way to look at it, but I think,
currently destroying you. Yeah.
yeah, based on the season, I'll accept bottom tier Nick for now, and he's going for a championship, so he could get there this year. We'll see.
He is all in on this year. He spent big to get Amon-Ra last week, and he was projected to score 140 points against me. That was a scary projection that I don't think we've ever seen.
Mm.
That was big points projected.
Projected, yeah. It was, of course, didn't pan out. He got 120 and he lost. But I think that does speak about his team on average over the playoffs if he can maintain those projections. That is 20 points more projected than the other top tier teams right now, which means that he has really exploited the, trade for picks system, which is perfectly in his right to do so. But I think it's up to other top tier teams like yourself, Nick, to make moves to adjust to that.
Yeah, man. And moves are happening. We'll talk about one that two of us made in just a little bit here. But yeah, let's look at this week's matchups and see what we have in store for the league.
Yeah, and while I'm pulling this up, I also meant to ask, why is there no trade deadline in our league? There needs to be a trade deadline, probably around now.
There's usually a trade deadline around the first week of December, but
Yeah, I think I saw first week in December was our trade deadline, although with our new being able to trade picks, having people cash out late might be a potential rule change for the future.
I think so because I think December 1st is more or less at the end of the season, like, as in no trade deadline. But this is your matchup this week, Nick. I see that mid-tier is still represented here. Looking
It
forward to the
will be
bottom tier
changed.
change. Will you
I'm
be
not,
also changing your logo, the beer keg?
well, sticking with the old classic. I think both bottom tier, mid tier, and top tier Nick enjoy the beer. I do owe a shotgun still from earlier in the season.
Excellent. Will we be
Yes.
enjoying that shotgun today?
We can do your matchups first, or I can go right into that. I'm good down for a shotgun whenever.
Well, I think we should actually put our matchups on hold because I would be much rather hear your takes after the shotgun.
That is a fair point. So, let's see how I do sitting down with this.
So here you're doing this because you owe Snickers.
That is correct from quite a while ago. I've been, putting it off. I already had one earlier in the season, but
here
We
we
have a
go.
Yangling here, uh, using the pen method, which is not a method I see very often. How
Yeah,
will it
we
work
like to
out?
drink with low tier because low tier is only
it
boom.
works out great. A
That
little
was
bit,
it.
a little bit easier than the key method, in my opinion. I know that's a good old tailgate classic, but I think the pen method provides a nice bigger hole, and I'm not always one for that, but in this scenario, works out great.
Yeah, man.
I'm extremely impressed. That was the least messy shotgun I've ever seen. You may as well have not just done that in terms of you did it in front of your computer, weren't even worried that you were going to get a wet.
Nah, practice, unfortunately, throughout a bad season.
Meanwhile, I think when Kenny did it, he switched over to his phone, he went outside, he got made clear of all of the technology. You're not worried about that.
Nah, that's a man that's out of practice. I got probably too much money in front of me right now, but I was confident.
Mm.
And you executed. Besides that little hiccup there at the end, unfazed.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, man. I mean, we've talked about rivalries kind of all season. We obviously have rivalry coming up in a couple weeks here, but Kenny might have you beat on the scoreboard this year, but you haven't beat in the Chump League, and you're definitely the best shotgunner in the league, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna put it
well, I'm
out
gonna
there right now.
shotgun bet him again. I don't care what the projections say, as you guys found out last week. Projections don't mean anything. It's how
Yeah.
you execute.
And yeah, I would have to agree that your shotgun is the shotgun to beat. Uh, Now, if we look at the matchup here, eighth versus 11th, you versus your brother-in-law Matt. Um, Projections are not favoring you. Like you said, who cares? You may have the lowest projection I have ever seen, assuming your lineup is set.
Well,
But
it's not. Well, I think we're gonna cover later, but Justin Herbert's being shipped out
Yeah.
uh,
Projection's actually gonna go down a
for
little bit.
some pick equity next year.
I see. So that is not going to improve your projection. In other words,
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It won't. But I think I can still take down Matt. He looks beatable.
Drake May's been playing for a whole quarter and doesn't have any fantasy points yet.
I would
yeah.
be
Currently,
interested. I haven't been watching the game. I'd be interested to see how that happened, especially because they have points. But it could be good
Yeah.
for
yeah,
me.
7-7 right now through one quarter. So I guess because I know that you're selling hard and benefit from doing that since you have only 1% chance to make the playoffs. What other
Yep.
moves will you be making, or what other pieces are on the market?
Right now, all of my pieces are on the market. You mentioned the Amon-Ra trade. That was me earlier for last week. Getting a third for a seventh for next season for me. Also sending Herbert and Vidal, who's on my bench right now, because I didn't want to have to figure out how to sub that out later. But I mean, if anybody's looking for flowers, I paid $100 for them. I would love to flip him into a pick. Open to dealing with anybody that's looking.
hundred
I
dollar
have no
flowers.
no grudges when I'm selling the farm for next year.
Yeah, no, I know that Carson is really fighting for a playoff spot. Do you think he might be interested in Zay?
I don't know his roster off the top of my head, but it is highly possible. Zay, I think, is a little bit under projected right now, but I think he could be a good piece as a WR2, maybe a flex for him.
Yeah, and just because he had Zay on his team and accidentally had to throw him to the curb in order to not even get a win
I mean,
against John a couple
I'll
weeks
give him a
ago.
deal. He has my number. He can text.
Yeah,
I would just love if he ends up giving like a fifth or sixth round pick for Zay Flowers after dropping him the most expensive way to fill up a roster spot ever at that point.
Yeah, at that point, I
Um,
was still hoping to salvage the season. So the $100 buy on Zay Flowers, I was hoping it would shore up the roster. It did not. So we move on.
yeah. You got to win against this guy, if I remember correctly, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think I've had a decent team all year. It's just I think the new scoring format has been less my friend than I had hoped, and had some tough losses, dealt with injuries, and it is what it is.
yeah, two weeks ago you did beat me. It was the same week you got chumped. You actually did have a win over me. So
I'll take it.
uh now yeah, I see that somehow Drake May has 0 points through a quarter. That is a little concerning for us Patriots fans as well.
You guys are
But
fine.
but let's take a look at your matchup of the week, Nick. Who are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm looking at the second one there, Katie versus Kenny. Some, top half teams here playing against each other. You got Katie in fifth place, Kenny in second place. Um, both currently more than 50% chance to make the playoffs. Kenny's obviously almost a lock. Katie is one of the teams that you're trying to knock out of the playoff picture here, Nate. But you got some
Yeah,
pretty fun matchup.
currently fit 69% chance.
Got some sexy picks on Katie's team. A little bit of older guys outside of Quinn Sean there. And then Kenny's really going with all the youth outside of, old Joe Flacco there.
Yeah, I believe that Judkins pick at the beginning of the year was borderline, if not wholeheartedly laughed at, and
He
she's looking like the genius now. I
he
honestly
was
was gonna pick him because I fully believe the Browns would play somebody out of prison, and they did.
there was a very real chance that Quinton Judkins was not going to play in the NFL ever when draft day
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Hey man, I was gonna take him on a flyer, but Katie beat me to it.
Yeah. Yeah, her team is actually looking pretty good at this point in the season. She and Kenny are, as far as ESPN projections are concerned, pretty evenly matched. She's got a quarterback. She's got a number of, I guess what we would call studs in past years, although the Eagles guys have been a little less consistent this year than in the past. I'm actually curious.
That
Jalen
is
Hurts.
true. I'm used to seeing Saquon projected for near 20, but
Hmm.
Yeah, it
he
looks like
has
he's ranked eighth on the year. But you're right. Yeah, Saquon's projections are down. Jalen Hurts is ranked eighth. So that's not up to his standard. Saquon's ranked 11th. Definitely not up to his standard.
I am curious if Kenny has another QB on the bench here.
He does. He's got Baker.
Baker.
Baker. Okay. So he's playing Flacco out of disrespect. That's fine.
Baker at Buffalo or
Flacco
Flacco
at the
at
Steelers.
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got
who
the matchup. Yeah,
historically tears apart the Steelers, even though he's like 45 years old.
you already beat them once this year.
I'm not salty about it. That's fine. I'm I'm very salty, but that was terrible. He's probably gonna win again. So, props to Kenny. He's probably gonna drop 40 points this week.
Yeah, I would actually be surprised if this is the lineup that Kenny ends up going with. I see that he hasn't taken Dalton Kincaid out of his lineup yet, actually, even though he's projected for zero. Maybe, I don't know if he has an injury or something, 'cause he's not on bye.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't.
definitely injured. There's a chance he plays, but probably not. He's gonna have to pick up a tight
Uh,
end here.
I think
he's
if
have to
he
pick up a
plays an
tight end.
illegal roster, he should have to forfeit the week if he goes with this.
Hmm.
Unbiased opinion from me.
Yeah, other unbiased opinion. Who are you picking in this matchup? Your sister or your rival?
Ooh, that is a very
You could say
tough
rival or
decision.
rival.
Yeah, you got family. I only lived with Kenny 1 year, but I think I think that was enough. I can't pick him. I'm gonna go with Katie, even though I think Flacco's gonna drop 40 points this week.
He dropped 40 points against me a couple weeks ago, so it was
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
I think Kenny's team needs to crash and burn and somehow fall out of the playoffs entirely. That would be ideal, if not preferred.
Yeah, man. What
Yeah,
do you
no,
think,
that
Nate?
seems pretty unlikely that he'll fall out entirely. I think this will be a good matchup this week. Um, I I think this is one where it comes down to whether Derrick Henry can perform against the Browns, and also I guess whether he can find a reasonable replacement at tight end. I did pick up Theo Johnson. You're welcome to pay me for him, Kenny, if you're out there. Um, he was by far the best option. Tight end 11 was just sitting on the bench, by the way,
I
people.
think I think
Or
I got a
on
couple tight ends on my roster. I could ship a good one. Just send me over some picks.
I
Yeah.
know that Ducky also needs a tight end. I was looking, we talked about it. He was definitely feeling Johnson, and so Kenny, if you're out there, I'm on the verge of making a hot deal with Ducky over Johnson, but if you want him, let me know.
What, Nick, did you hear what he
Uh
just said? That he's on the verge of making a hot deal with Ducky while he's feeling his Johnson? What?
I mean, that
that
sounds
sounds
hot
about
to
right.
me. I mean, it sounds
So
hot to me.
yeah, if you're interested in getting involved, just shoot me a text.
If you're interested in seeing that video, just message Nate in the side.
If you're looking for tight ends, come to good old bottom tier Nick.
That's right. Also wanted to highlight the Ducky Shane matchup this week. One of our two remaining Chump League contestants, by the way, Shane, up against what I think has to be the villain of the season now that he has turned himself into the all-star team over here. Ducky, third place versus sixth place. Two teams that actually have a very similar points for on the season, which I was surprised to see when I noticed today. They're only like 10 points different from each other. Um, but yeah, this matchup, I think will say a lot about the playoffs. Shane obviously needs to win this one because he has three people breathing down his neck, and Ducky needs to find a replacement for Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
We've
So
dealt in
Nick,
the
who do you
past.
think?
We could deal again. I'm just saying.
Yeah, same. We talked a lot last night about again trying to get him a tight end to help him win this one. He wasn't super amenable to talking. Um, because I'm also not sold out right now. I definitely can make the playoffs, so I'm trading for players, not for picks. And
Mm.
he wants to spend picks, but yeah, who do you think wins this one, guys?
I think it's a really interesting matchup. I think Shane's gotten lucky that J.K. Dobbins is out. He started R.J. Harvey last week, got 2 points, and is starting him this week as the RB1 in Denver. And also, if I'm reading that right, if there's a smudge on my screen, Devon Achane is projected for 26.8 points.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that is what it says.
That,
He he did drop a
oh
he dropped a
God,
40 burger last week, but that is wow, man.
that seems excessive, but possible.
That is second round pick. Obviously, Justin Jefferson was first, or that's crazy, man. And Devontae Adams is the number has the most receiving touchdowns in the league. couple of stats are definitely pointing Shane's way here, but yeah, like we said, Ducky has an all-star team. Stuff through, a couple 20 minutes, doesn't have any catches yet, but it's gonna be close.
Could depend on who he gets to slot in for Warren this week.
Yeah, I mean, Ducky's running backs have a chance to near goose him. We've seen it before for Aaron Jones and Bijan getting less and less points here, but yeah, I think I'm still. Well, I also picked Shane to get Chump this week, so I'm gonna go with Ducky. I was about to switch it up, but
I mean, because there's only two left. There's a world where Shane has a great week. It still is not. It still is the chunk.
all
But
right.
yeah, I do think just looking at the depth here, although Ducky has a all-star roster, if we take Aaron Jones out, who was definitely his weakest link. His bench is a little bit um, of his issue. No depth really there, and I know obviously impacted by the Mike Evans injury. Um, Jackson Dart actually was doing some good work for him, although having Lamar, that's not super important.
No.
So
I mean, it's not the most exciting, but looking at the bottom there, the kicker matchup could be a big deal, seeing as it looks like your boy missed an extra point. Boswell usually pretty automatic, and Pittsburgh loves to kick field goals, so he could put up 15 plus.
That's a really good point. Looking at 13 points and the kicker has 0. Trying to figure out how that works. That's actually 14 to 7. Um, did Borregales get injured? Maybe.
He not playing.
yeah, how did he have zero?
No,
Because you
he
you said someone's made both the extra points and this score is not accurate.
no, that something happened here.
If it's 14-7, then he's not kicking.
No, he got 2 points. I don't know what's happening in the
Oh,
ESPN here,
well,
but Borregales has 2 points right now. We'll correct that in the show notes here. But yeah, it's going to be a really tight matchup. Yeah, this one's really exciting. A lot of sexy players.
those are
Yeah,
two big teams. Well, I think I don't know. Lamar's still coming back off injury. He might be do a little less than projected, but also Mahomes has not been the world beater he usually is, so it does look tight.
no. Well, he's having a better season and he's is quarterback 3 on the year, which is much better than he was the last 2 years. I think he's been
Playing at
pretty hot and
Denver,
cold.
yeah.
If we look at his season here, actually, 3 bad weeks or 2 bad weeks rather. So he's been pretty consistent.
All right, he's coming off a bye, so maybe Denver's supposed to be a good defense though, so
Yeah, and somehow
we'll
Denver has
see.
been playing just all super low scoring games this year, but tied with the Patriots with their 7 game win streak. Um, a lot of interesting things. Yeah, I'll be definitely watching that Javon Achan pick. I guess they're just saying he's the whole offense right now. So,
Also,
Him and
Washington is
Jalen
terrible,
Waddle,
so
yeah.
but let's take a look at the free agents. Not a super exciting week there. I know I'm running out of money, so I haven't been as involved. But
I'll just spend it all in one shot. Easy.
yeah, yeah, this was not a tough year for you. Not a lot of hemming and hawing. You just went all in,
Nah,
and that was that.
I need one free agent. Got him. Did the
Unfortunately,
season
may
go
have been
well? Let's not talk about that. But
yeah,
I
too
got
little,
I
too
got
late,
my free
perhaps.
agent.
Can still you so are no longer eligible to pick up free agents on Wednesdays, but you can still get the free ones on Thursdays.
That's fine.
Which there have been
Um,
quite a bit
I'm gonna
of
be yeah,
nice
I've been
pickups.
looking, but
Yeah.
not a whole lot left for me to play for but pride, so or potentially find somebody's mistake and flip them for a pick, but yeah, right now it ain't much I can do.
So
well, there
that's
really hasn't been. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
and I think that that's kind of the fun part about the having the rivalry week be week 1 and week 14 is even if you're not in the playoffs, and Kenny obviously is going to be, it looks like, if you beat him in week 14, that's just something you can hold over his head the whole offseason.
Yeah, especially which I hope it doesn't come to pass, but if he wins the championship and I beat him in week 14, then I feel good about myself that I took him down in his best season. Um, Still gonna shotgun bet him, maybe double it, but he's gonna be he'll agree to anything right now. I'm pretty sure he's confident he'll beat me, but his team might be terrible. You don't know. Projections don't mean anything.
Yeah, same thing between us, Nate. We're gonna have a rivalry week where it's gonna be probably pretty important for both of us to get that win. If you get that win, it might knock me out of the a bye. If I get the win, it might knock you out of the playoffs. So it's really tough.
Yeah, no, that will be a really fun rivalry week, and I bet there are other matchups that will be similarly impactful. Um, and yeah, only thing to highlight here on the offers report, Kyle really spent up on the Ravens defense, which is, I guess, I found odd because they've not had a good season at all. They might have a good matchup this week, but the Ravens have, I think, are ranked pretty low. And then Matt went in on Jim Little, the kicker. Not sure what's going on there.
Yeah,
I don't know
man.
about that one.
We only got a little bit of time left, but there's two trades happened last week. Matt traded Rashad White and Quentin Johnson to Kyler for George Kittle and Lad McConkey. Pretty even swatch up. And then me and you, Nick, we Dan Jones, Kareem Hunt, and a fourth round pick to you for Justin Herbert, Kamani Vidal, and a fifth round pick. You have 30 seconds to talk about how that happened for you here.
Well, just looking to sell the top teams, looking for some upgrades. Pleasure doing business with you, and I'm open to doing business with anybody else.
Yeah, man, I think it's a pretty decent trade. I mean, giving up a fourth round pick is tough, but getting a fifth back and getting Justin Herbert back, who's really good, it's pretty exciting
Yeah,
going into the rest of the season
hope
here.
they do well for you.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a huge problem other than I was worried that you'd put it through before the week and you might have an injury, but it sounds like you had talked about that and got it all taken care of. But yeah, it sounds like more trades to come. Some people are being pretty aggressive this year, which is pretty fun. But thanks for joining us this week, Nick. Enjoyed your shotgun as always. And
Always a pleasure.
we will see everyone else next week.